What is happening, everybody? We're back. We're doing some race reviews slash thoughts. I don't know what we're going to call this, but the first World Cup was just held in Scotland, Fort William. Now, this was the first World Cup since my retirement that I ended up just watching, and honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching from the sidelines. I think it's just the fact it was Fort William as well. We've never got along. We've never done super well there. We got a third there as a junior. Besides that, we've had a lot of crashes, a lot of concussions, a lot of sore, broken bones. So, yeah, we've been beat up from that track, and it never seems to be too kind to us. So, to watch it from the outside was actually not too bad this year, and kind of makes me feel like I made the right decision. But going off the track this year, they've made a lot of changes to seem to straighten the track out this year, which made it a lot faster. We used to say under 5 at the Fort was a good thing if you're going to 5 minutes. Now they're close to going to 4 minutes. So Luke Bruni's time was a 4:04. And yeah, I think the average time was around the high 450s, and then like the fastest was in the 440s. So yeah, obviously a lot quicker. They've cut out a lot of these awkward janky bits, especially towards the bottom where you carry a lot more speed onto the motorway, which obviously is going to propel you way faster to the bottom. So even up the top a bit further, it looks like they built up a lot of stuff. They look like they filled in a lot of holes, which it can be good and bad, because yes, it does make the track smoother, but once it becomes smoother, it becomes faster, and everyone kind of just goes onto that one line and absolutely goes hammer and tong on that one line. So from the outside, a lot of it looked like standard Fort William, a lot of rocks that don't change, that stay the same, but they did fill a lot of dirt in it between a lot of other sections. So it did look like a lot of fun. I heard a lot of riders talking about it, saying it was smoother and was better. Still just classic brutal Fort William. I did see a lot of people crash and go down, which wasn't good. Obviously, Greg Minnaar, he had two big crashes in his finals run. Lucas Cruz broke his femur. I just saw a few other people just hitting the deck hard. So, yeah, it's one of those tracks you just don't want to crash anywhere there, because it's just going to hurt no matter where you crash. There's just a lot of rock and gravelly crap to fall onto. Probably the woods is the only nice spot to crash, and there's only about 20 seconds of woods. So you're in and out of that pretty quick. The rest is wooden boardwalks, rocks, and everything else that's not good on the body. We'll go into the junior category. Ace of Amet took the win with a time that would have put him 11th in the elite men. So coming in, I think he had a fair bit of... He didn't seem like he had the pressure on him, but I know a lot of people were talking about him. I put out a video a little while ago saying how I thought he was going to be the one to watch out for, and kind of you see how he was beating the likes of Aaron Gwynn and names like that, and Lucas Shaw and stuff like that in previous races, that he was definitely going to be one of the guys that is always going to stand out. But even to go into your first World Cup, no matter how much hype's around you, no matter what team you're on, like that all creates pressure on you, because if you go in there as the underdog and no one's talking about you, it doesn't matter if you don't get the good result. It doesn't matter if you screw up, because no one cares. But if you've got all this pressure on you and you don't end up performing, then it's like the weight of the world comes down on you. So it's funny, when it does go right, it seems obvious that it should. But when it doesn't, it seems like everything kind of falls apart for you. And that pressure can, like you say, make diamonds or can crush you. So to come out and to not only win, but put 6 seconds into the closest person in second, Luke Wyman. So to do that and then to have a time that was almost top 10 in elite men is pretty remarkable for your first World Cup. That's kind of going down the realm of Aaron Gwynn style thing when he got a top 10 at his first World Cup and did a bar hump at the bottom. So yeah, definitely a fast American to look out for. I think he's going to be dominant in the juniors pretty much all year, and I think he'll probably have times that would put him on an elite podium. It's going to be tricky, though, just the fact they don't race at similar times now. It's the track's different, the weather conditions are different, there's a lot of different things, but if he's throwing down times that are comparable with the elite men, I think it's pretty obvious that he'll be able to back that up in the coming years. But you look at when Jackson Goldstone was doing that, him and Jordan, when they were getting fastest time of the day, and people were like, oh, but it's juniors, the track's different, blah, blah, blah. And then they step up to the elite ranks, and Jordan obviously won the first round last year at Lenzerheide, and then Jackson won 2 World Cups. So if the speed's there as a junior, it's probably going to be there as elite man as well. So super interesting. Heather Wilson won the junior women 3.5 seconds in front. She was actually the local girl that did the track preview and ended up crashing in the track preview, but obviously got all the nerves out of the way and ended up laying it down and taking the win in the junior women. So it's cool to see the progression of how quick the juniors are going, and then obviously how they carried that over into into the elite ranks, and obviously and carry that on. So a lot of people weren't a fan of the junior category when it first came into play. I was a weird one because I went into the World Cup races as an elite athlete the first year and had to qualify in the top 80 with everyone else. And then the year after, they created the junior category, which everyone qualified. There wasn't even a qualifying. They just, if you were a junior, you got to race. You just did a seeding run. So it was this weird jump from being really hard to even race to then everyone gets to race. And obviously they fine-tuned it down with like qualifying and all of that to make it a bit more of its own thing. But I think it's a good thing to showcase the juniors as their own category. But I almost believe if you are, like, they almost should all race together. Like, there shouldn't be a separate, like, okay, if you have the top 60 qualify for the finals, have the top 60 plus whatever juniors would qualify as well. So just say if you ran the juniors with the elites and you want to run 10 juniors or 20 juniors or whatever, just go back to your 80, or just go off if 20 juniors qualify within that top 60, then you just push it back to taking the top 80. If only like 3 juniors qualify in that top 60, you go 63. So just push them back so you get at least that same number of juniors in the ranks, but you're not knocking out elite riders by doing that. I think you could just have them both run together. And then if a junior male does get on the podium or a junior woman does get on the podium for elite, then just let them have it. Because I think it is a cool thing when you see people like Troy Brosnan, Luke Bruni, trying to think of other people that Atherton, that they all got podiums in elite when they were a junior. So it is, I think that would be cool to see if they could run them all together, and how that would play out with kind of the progression they would go, and whether they could actually get out of juniors maybe a year early if they were already getting podiums in elite. So just a thought. I think it's just cool running them together, especially when you have athletes like Asa, like Jordan, and like Jackson that can win as a junior. I think it's just a cool storyline. Going off the elite guys, Luke Bruni got the win. First time he's actually won at Fort William. He's the same as me. He's had some terrible luck, some big crashes, and just hasn't been able to kind of gel with the track. So to see him get the win's really cool. He's obviously going to be the hard man to beat this year. Was consistent. Obviously, last year got the overall, and then coming to this year already getting a win at a track that I wouldn't say was his favourite. So if you can build momentum off that, I reckon he's going to be very tricky man to beat. He got first. In second was Troy Brosnan. Now, Troy is a bit of a Fort William specialist, I think, just because of his style of riding. He's so light on the bike. He's so precise where he puts his wheels. Even you see his efficiency when he pedals at the bottom and how he just gets the backside of every jump and gains momentum. Like he's probably, for all out, I guess, pumping skill or creating momentum through nothing, through a little rock or a little hole, a little bump or whatever, I think Troy would almost have to be the best at making speed out of nothing. So he was obviously on fire. He made up a bit of time towards the bottom that put him in second. I think he was actually sitting third before the last kind of sprint, so he just jumped in front of Finn Isles, who was in third. Now, Finn, I think, is going to be the biggest threat to Loic this year, which is kind of funny, being obviously they're both teammates, but I think he's definitely found his feet, found his groove, knows how to push, not just because he was obviously had a lot of issues with crashing in finals runs, and he was towing that line between going too much, and I think he's kind of found his groove now where he can just put down consistent top 5 runs, if not winning runs, when he has his day. But he's just going to have to, I guess, still flirt with that edge a little bit more, I think, to get in front of Loic. I think Loic's still faster than him, but I think Finn's definitely coming for that spot. I think this year it's going to be a battle between those two. I think they're going to go back and forth a lot. Dakota Norton was in fourth on a new team. He went on to Mondraker Factory, and man has the highest stack in the world. He's taken the crown away from Jack Moyer. I actually called Jack. He was a bit emotional about this, that he's no longer the stack king. But yeah, Dak has now got it, and it's just kind of hectic to see. It's a lot of bar, it's a lot of man, and yeah, it's obviously working for him. You see it, riders do this, like who's the guy? Pascal, Michelle Pascal or Michael Pascal. I'm messing that up. Someone's going to correct me in the comments. But he had a massive stack as well and it almost didn't look real. But obviously it works for him. Obviously they get the right height that they feel comfortable and they can throw that thing down the hill. But from the outside, it does definitely look quite funny. But he got fourth. Lucas Shaw. I'm excited to see what Luca can do because he's always been a fast rider. He's always been consistent, but I don't think he's ever quite reached his full potential of where he can be. He had a really breakout year. I think it was 2017 or 2018 where he kept qualifying. I think he qualified first like 4 times and would always have like a flat tire or a crash or something would happen in finals where he just wouldn't be able to back it up. But you could just tell that his speed was 100% there, and it'd just be interesting to see if he can get that consistency and that momentum behind him, whether he's going to be a guy that can fight for wins. Like he's gotten podiums before. He got second at Croatia when I got third, just behind Gwyn. He's, like I said, he's qualified first many a time, and then he's just almost been there. Even at like Leogang one year, he was up on Umbri's time, crashed within the last minute of the track, and I think that's so many times he's been so close, and then it just all goes wrong. So I'm going to be super intrigued to see how he goes this year. Which is laying down consistency with everything. I think some breakout rides as well was Greg Williamson. He got seventh, which is, he always does well at Fort William. It's his home track. He always seems to lay it down, just seems to gel with it, which is really cool. Loris Vergier and Andreas Kobe were 8th and 9th. Good start for them. Obviously, they wanted probably a bit more, but again, just that consistency to get the season started. Ronan Dunn on a new team got 11th, which is great to see. Jordan Williams in 12th. Danny Hart 13th. Bernard Kerr after a massive crash in qualifying or semi, I think it was. He was in 14th. Amory Pirion back in the races. He got 15th. Reese Wilson again back as well after a big injury. Head injury that has kept him out for so long in 16th. Remy Meyer-Smith is back on form, and he's in 17th. I was really sad to see Luke went down. He qualified. I went 5th in semi-finals, and I really thought he was going to be a guy that could fight for a podium. He's obviously super fit, super strong, such a long track, such a physical track. I thought it would definitely suit him. Actually, put him in my fantasy league, but unfortunately, he had a crash towards the bottom, just went high on a corner, and ended up going down, which I was real bummed to see. One thing, though, that I would suggest anyone that does watch this that is a World Cup racer, if you go off the track, even if you crash, re-enter in that spot that you go off and go back down. Because if you are in the semi-finals, if you make it to the bottom, no matter if your time is way up the back, you will still get points. If you cut the track, however, and roll down, you will get no points. And we saw this with Luke, and then we saw this last year at Ludonviel with Finn when he went around a pole and just kept going. It's like if you go around the pole, you DQ'd, no points. If you stop, if you push back up, re-enter where you went off the track, you can still come down and get dead last, but you will still get some points. And I'm sure at the end of the season, when you are stacking up points and you know you could jump a few spots from a few points, you'll be happy that you push back up that hill. So I saw that with Luke, and I saw that last time with Finn. And I know when you're in the heat of the moment that you don't think about it, but you probably should think about it, and you should go, hey, I can stand some points here, and all I need to do is just push back up. In the women, Valley Hall took the win. Now, she had to fight for this one. Nina Hoffman was pretty much leading the whole race before the last 30 seconds, where Valley obviously laid down some power and came across the line and, yeah, got the W by half a second. So I think the women's racing is going to be really interesting this year. We also saw Tani Seagrave back on form in third. So I think the women's category is going to jump around a lot. I think that obviously you're going to have Valley fighting for wins a lot, but I think Nina is going to really push it this year. You could see where all the technical stuff, she obviously excelled through the woods and everything like that. So, no, I think it's going to be really, really cool racing. I'm super interested to see if Jackson Goldstone will be actually making a return this year, or whether he's going to be out for most of the season, or even if he can ride again, whether he'll come back or whether it'll be pointless, or maybe just focus on Worlds or something like that. I really don't know, but it will be interesting to see. A big takeaway as well for this race was there is a lot of top level races that didn't even make it through either the quali or the semis. He had names like like Charlie. Sorry, I just laughed then because it's crazy to think he was a world champion on this track last year, Charlie Hatton, and he didn't even get a race this year. And then you got people like Laurie Greenland, who was a favourite to win, Ollie Davis. I don't think Ollie's War got in. The pivot guys, like there's so many top level races that Angel Suarez crashed. There's so many top races that aren't actually getting even into finals, it's kind of sad to see that the level is that high now, and if you make a mistake, even a small one, or just don't push quite as hard as you could, that you will most likely miss out. So I still believe that they should go off the 60 for finals. I think they should just do that, because looking at the comments as well, they've obviously cut the semis on race day and they put them a day earlier, but they're not broadcasting them. So you're still paying for apparently more coverage, but you're not actually really getting it. I saw a lot of people complaining about that online, that you're charging for something, but you're not getting what you used to get. Obviously, you got semis and finals last year on the same day. If you're running semis on the day before, broadcast them. Tell the story. Show the build-up to finals. And I think that's why a lot of people are getting annoyed, because they've got to pay more and they're not getting more. They're getting less than what they were getting last year. I think I still think they should can the semis. I think it should just be quali finals. But if you are going to run a quali and a semi-finals, at least televise, at least show it, at least kind of let the athletes and riders watch it back. Then they can kind of work out their lines. They can change stuff. It can all build the sport. It can build the storyline behind the sport. Don't just run it in silence and then only put 30 people down on race day. I think it's just like a bit anticlimactic, and yeah, I don't know if it's going the right way when it comes to that. So it was it was nice to watch a race from the other side of the world, actually, especially when it's a cold, rainy Fort William, which it kind of held off though, which was good. But yeah, super interesting to see how it's played out so far, and how it will play out. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep doing these. I was even talking to Joshy Froffer about possibly commentating the next one, maybe, if we can get him up in the studio, get it on a big screen and kind of do a live on either YouTube or something, so you guys can play it through and listen to us talk about the race. But yeah, just an idea. We'll brainstorm. But let me know what you think. Let me know who you think is going to be a standout this year, what you didn't like about the race and what you did like, and how the whole broadcast came across to you. Because hearing from a few people, it's like they're trying to make it a certain way, and I don't know if it's hitting. So it'd be interesting to see what you think and how you feel. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.